crayons to color the picture. Use your finger to follow the track or line or show the correct picture. Use a coloring crayon to draw a line or write a number or sound. Look at the picture and say the number or sound out loud. Use a scissors to cut on the dotted line. Look at the picture. Use these symbols for the lesson of the day, which will be allocated at the top right side of each page. For example, Lesson 1, Prepositions and Directions.
Welcome to MyZone Online School. My name is Teacher Netai. Today's theme is farm. Let's sanitize our hands. Rub, rub, rub your hands back inside and forth. Now your hands and mine are clean. We have sanitized. Rub, rub, rub your hands back inside and forth. Now your hands and mine are clean. We have sanitized. Remember to maintain a social distance. Today's lesson is counting. Now let's turn to the page 11. On page 11, what do we see? There is a lamb. Where do we find a lamb? We find it on the farm. It says color in the sheep. There is the mother sheep in the picture. Now let's look on the farm on my table. We have different kinds of animals lined up, and one of them is a sheep. So I would like you to turn back to page 11 and color in the sheep. Once you are done, we turn to page 12. On page 12, it says, write down the number of buckets. Color the boy. There is a boy standing right in the middle of the farm. He likes playing with his lamb. He likes looking after the sheep. He helps his father to carry the buckets of milk on the farm. So the boy is carrying one bucket. Now we need to count. Let's go back to our animals on the farm and count to see how many animals we have on the farm. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are supposed to be 7 animals. We will find out what happened to the 7th animal. Let's get back to the page 12 on our booklet. We need to count the number of buckets and try to see and remember the boy is carrying one bucket of milk. Now let's count the buckets together. Let's go together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7th bucket is being carried by the boy. Let's move over to the board. We need to practice once more how to count up to 7. I will be picking up the magnets from my table and placing them on the board. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All together, we have 7 magnets on the board of different colors. Let's count the cups that I have here with me. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th is right here. So we have 7 cups all together. Let's move back to our booklet on page 12. Remember, you need to count the number of buckets before you can write the number in the block. Include the bucket that the boy is carrying in his hand. Now let's write number 7 and color the picture of the boy. Once you are done, we turn over to page 13. On page 13, we are instructed to count. Let's count and see how many birds are seated on the branch. Let's count together from the left and point to the birds as we count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 birds on the branch altogether. But the instruction tells us we need to color 5 birds. Do we know how to count up to 5? Look at the dots just below the branch. Let's count and see how many dots. Let's go together and point to the dots as we count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's go back to the birds which are seated on the branch of the tree. We need to color in only 5 birds. Let's count and stop at 5. Let's count the birds together as you point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you stop right there. Now let's color in 5 birds. In the next row, we are instructed to color 6 birds. Do we know how to count up to number 6? We have dots right under the branch. Let's count and find out how many black dots are under the branch. As you point and we count together. Let's go together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's go back to the branch where the birds are seated. Can you count 6 birds seated on the branch? Let's count together as you point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we stop right there. Now you need to color in 6 birds. The next activity at the bottom. There are dots right at the bottom of the branch. Count the number of dots and color in 7 birds seated on the branch. Once we have finished that activity, we need to move over to the next page. Let's turn to page 14 when we have finished with our activity. On page 14, I will read the instruction. It says, complete the numbers on the gates. Can you see the gates that are on the farm? Remember, we are talking about the farm. Let's look at the animals on the farm back a little bit more. Let's get back to the farm. We have the cow, we have the sheep, we have a duck, the horse, another cow, and we have a cock or a rooster. What will happen if we leave the gates open on the farm? I'm sure this animal will walk out and go astray. We do not want to lose our animals. Now let's get back to the worksheet again. We need to complete the numbers on the gates. The gates that are numbered, we are able to read number 1, there is number 5, there is number 6. But all together, how many gates are there? Can you point to the gates and count to see how many they are all together? We can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, there are 7 gates on the farm. Now you need to write in the missing numbers. After number 1, what number comes next? Write it in to the open space of the gate just close to number 1 on the top row. When you are done, what number comes after the second number? It's right in the second row on the left-hand side in your booklet. Write the missing number. After the third gate, what number do you have to write? On the right-hand side in the second row. Let's look at the bottom numbers on page 14. Gate number 5 has been numbered and gate number 6 has been numbered. Now let's look. What is the next number that comes after 6? Once you have done that completion of numbers, I would like you to go back to the top page once more. There are 2 more questions for you to complete. How many gates are closed? Let's look closely. Remember, we are on the farm. Can we leave the farm gates open? What will happen to our farm animals? And write the number of gates that are closed in the top box or top block. The next question says, how many gates are open? Do we have any gate that is open on page 14. Look closely at all the gates. Once you have finished that activity, I would like to say, well done. Read the lesson. Now it is time for us to sanitize our hands. Rub, rub, rub your hands back, inside and forth. Now your hands and mine are clean. We have sanitized. Rub, rub, rub your hands back, inside and forth. Now your hands and mine are clean. We have sanitized. Remember to keep your safe social distance at all times. Now it is time for us to invite Zoe. It is time for us to say goodbye to Zoe. Bye, Zoe.
I wasn't looking. I was in a place where I never knew how you felt. May the Lord restore me. You, distant. Where do I begin to tell them about my story? I remember quoting love is sacrifice for homies. Wondering how this came upon me. All on me like a sweater. In the winter, I could be bitter with all these lemons life squeezing me into. Couldn't be too sure that I was strong. Till the water from my heart ran down with chicks every morning. Lord, just say joy comes in the AM. I've been waiting till it folds in. Waiting like some passengers, passing time to remove these bandages. Lately she been so distant. Are we destined for this instance? As you know, we've been in a space like astronaut. I'm asking, Lord, why I couldn't foresee I was faulty, overlooking my mistakes with a telescope before me. One time she was hurting, second time she was whipping, third time she was departing. It's important I was supposed to hold her. Now I'm regretting trying to think it over. October the summer, that's nothing. The heat of this problem need me some water like a dolphin.
Lord, I know I made her cry, so that's why she been distant. Gave me all the signs, but my mind wouldn't listen. If I had a wish, I would've wished I wasn't wishing. If I had a wish, I would've wished I wasn't wishing. I made her cry, so that's why she been distant. Gave me all the signs, but my mind wouldn't listen. If I had a wish, I would've wished I wasn't wishing. If I had a wish, I would've wished I wasn't wishing.
Matters of the heart, a crazy thing to deal with. So I might as well kneel and pray as I do it. Be strong for a while, we're made to give up. As I say this right now, I'm broken and shattered. Chuck the how this all came about. Lord knows I still love her forever. However the situation could be dealt. Devil trying to pin me to the wall like a dart and take me from a king to a rook. Got the best sisters and fellas that are binding it together like a book. Lord, you know I lost it when I lost you. You got me right here where you posted. I'm wondering if this is my portion. And what will my next approach be? While hoping you could restore us. Crashes on my heart, cause I'm too lame to get up from this. This is indecent, but I took up the blame that we've been distant. In this moment, now I'm searching for atonement. Help me, I'm too hard, my...
Humanitarian crises are all too familiar to television viewers. Civil wars that cause huge movements of refugees, worldwide pandemics, and natural disasters like earthquakes and tsunamis. This is the way most of us are used to seeing these heart-wrenching events, on a screen in front of us, watching passively. But what if you could step into the frame and actually feel what it's like for the individuals on the ground?
People come out of it feeling enlightened and often moved and often ready to take action. A lot of people automatically say, well, what can I do? How can I get involved?
Garbo Aurora is leading a team at the United Nations who are using cutting-edge technology to raise awareness, empathy, and funds both to respond to humanitarian crises and to bolster support for a new set of sustainable development goals around the globe.
Virtual reality is the ability to really take part in a story that usually you're only a passive spectator on. And you actually get this sensation of feeling like you're being there.
By using multiple cameras that can record in all directions and software that can stitch the images together, virtual reality creates an experience that enables the viewer to see a movie from every angle, above, below, and behind.
It's exciting for the UN, to be involved in some of those early experiments of how we're trying to tell stories, make these films, and work with some of the most cutting-edge people in the industry on it.
So the UN reached out to us and connected, and we realized that there was a great opportunity here to tell some very important stories and to tell them in a way that we thought would be totally new and highly impactful. The way that I define virtual reality at this point in time is basically the hacking of your senses to convince you that you're somewhere other than where you are. Often, I think of it as a sense of vulnerability. So one of the things we've realized in some of our stories is you have a heightened sense of empathy and a heightened sense of connection as a result of that vulnerability.
That heightened sense of connection and empathy was exactly what Garbo Aurora was looking to create at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Not only to inspire leaders to take action, but also to influence donors to increase funding for disaster response efforts.
I'd started experimenting with using innovative ways of advocacy, and I started talking to a lot of different partners and people. What could we do that would be incredible? And someone said, I just came from a meeting at Samsung, and, with some of these other virtual reality headsets, wouldn't it be amazing if you got all of those elite people who could actually go to a refugee camp, or they could go to an Ebola clinic? I just really felt it would get our issues highlighted.
In addition to the screenings at Davos, virtual reality portals have been set up to view the films at high-level political forums around the world. The virtual reality film on display was Clouds Over Sidra.
Clouds Over Sidra is a short film in virtual reality about a girl named Sidra who lives in Zatari camp, which is a Syrian refugee camp in Jordan. And it is a story about a young girl who is giving you a tour of the camp, of what it's like, what her life is like. When the film debuted in Davos, it was a sensation to everyone we showed it to. They come out of it very deeply moved. I'd say half the people who watch Clouds of Procedure cry. And then we cut a version for UNICEF, where it's face-to-face fundraisers. The way they do that is usually someone with a clipboard on the street in Europe or in different countries. So they thought, well, what if we got people to experience virtual reality on the street?
Quite sad. They don't have a good environment to stay. We try our best to help them.
Early reporting from UNICEF has shown that when using virtual reality, they've doubled the effectiveness of their fundraising efforts. This report was produced by Ben Lybrand for the United Nations.
Prevention is important. Help prevent the spread of illness and keep yourself and others well. Hand washing is one of the most effective ways of preventing the spread of germs. Wash your hands regularly with soap and hot water, scrubbing your hands thoroughly for at least 20 seconds. Hand sanitizers can be used but are not recommended as a substitute for hand washing. Use sanitizers in addition to hand washing or in a situation where soap and water are not available. To avoid spreading germs, limit sharing of personal items such as utensils, cups, and dishes. Your skin acts as a barrier to germs, but your eyes, nose, and mouth are more vulnerable. Wash your hands thoroughly before touching your face, eating, or drinking. Avoid physical contact with others, including handshakes, fist bumps, high fives, hugs, and kisses. Social distancing is deliberately increasing the physical space between people to avoid spreading germs. While regulations may vary by country or area, the best guideline for social distancing is to maintain a distance of 6 feet from others. Germs can travel through the air from one person to another. If you sneeze or cough, do so into a tissue or the inside of your elbow to prevent the spread of germs. Avoid contact with ill individuals and insist they isolate themselves until they have recovered and are symptom-free. Clean and sanitize frequently touched common